On today's episode, we're answering the question, no, we're not, because I'm on the wrong damn outline.
What I think is really alluring, attractive, sexy, intoxicating about this dream that's being sold is you were starting to hit it, and in this introduction, it's this, do what you want when you want. It's the freedom piece, right? That is wanted, but there's also the piece that says to the weary woman who is tired, who has had the confidence knocked out of her by maybe a terrible boss, who has a lot of insecurities. When you start to look at the research on women and confidence, it's horrifying. And like where we can start to unpack like where that's rooted in. But when you start to look at the lack of confidence, the insecurity, the exhaustion, it makes sense why when you tell a woman she can sit behind a keyboard, send emails with some links in it, and make money, that will suck you in super fast, because they don't have to go out and build relationships when they don't feel confident, because they don't have to ask for a sale when they don't feel good enough, because they don't have to put in a tremendous amount of energy or effort when they're exhausted.
There's a lot. And
they can charge $47. They're being told you can charge $47 for this thing. And that's really alluring, and make all this money. That's really alluring when, you don't see your own value.
Yeah, exactly. And we have to, and Allison's been doing this for 15. I've been doing this for 10 years. How long have you been doing this online business, or like being your own business owner?
So I've been, doing what I've done my whole career in larger businesses. Then I left, right? And so I've been in the online space for about 10 years.
Okay. So we've got there's a really good, like you were saying, synergy earlier about where our skill levels are and our experiences. And I think I've spent probably the last 5 years sort of breaking that conditioning. It took me 5 years to understand that I was still conditioned, and to start to break from it. And I came from the toxic boss situation that caused the sickness situation, right? Like that's me. That's how I ended up in this. So I'm loving this whole discussion, and I love the information you're bringing to this. How do we then, once we're, let's assume that people are working on improving their self-confidence, realizing that we've been taking down these paths. The too good to be true stuff is actually too good to be freaking true. You're not going to make, like the person who got me into this and that I fell for, told me I was going to make 6 figures within 12 months of joining this person's program, and told me that my first course or my first product that I should offer, I should charge $597 a month for 4 phone calls for coaching that I wasn't qualified to do. And it was devastating to me when that didn't work, and it took me a while to get over it. Allison's got similar stories. This is the thing, but what I want to gear us towards, or even move us towards, is how do we then change this for the better? What framework can we use to overcome this and make gains?
I think what happens is that we have experts coming in, right? You're an expert, I'm an expert, Allison's an expert. And, but there's a really steep learning curve to running a business and like monetizing your expertise. And what happens is that's where you enter into the marketplace and you get sucked in by the noise and the pretty marketing messages and things like that. And they make it about your identity, right? They conflate right from the beginning. We're conflating your identity with, say, the entity of your business. And the reason why this isn't happening is because of these things, and that you now need to go and fix. And there's something wrong with you. And there's nothing, that's the first thing I want to say. And like, so much of what I like to talk about is just normalizing what's actually normal in this space, because we don't do that. And just having people feel seen and heard because I don't think there are a lot of people that are talking about this in this way.
Yeah.
And so it's a knowledge there. We just simply have a knowledge gap. Like, there's nothing wrong with you. Please stop trying to fix yourself, right? This is just, how can we get you some business acumen? And how can we shorten the learning curve by being very honest about what you actually need to know? And that's kind of how, like, initially I like to kind of think about it. It's almost like nothing even complex, but can we just be honest?
I think that, and it's so funny because I'm going to offer not a differing view, but I want to say yes. And Jenny and I do this a lot, where we don't want to disagree, but we want to elaborate. Yes. And I think that there is also, as women, a tendency to sabotage ourselves. And that's not something wrong with you, but that is a mindset thing to overcome, because I do it. I know Jenny does it. I'm sure you've done it. We do that. And it goes back to that, my value is only worth this $47 product. And understanding what we really know and what expertise we really genuinely have. I do feel like we underestimate not just our value, but the transformation that we can bring for people.
Absolutely.
And I'm a big proponent of therapy, and I will say till the end of my days that I notice I make more in my business when I'm in active therapy. That's just, and I'm not even trying. It's just a natural progression of things, because I'm working on all of that head trash, I call it, all that crap in my head holding me back. But you're saying that aside from that, I just don't know what I don't know on how to run the business.
Yeah. And I know that. So what winds up happening is, and I've had clients tell me this, and like brilliant humans, like doctors and therapists and like experts, right? That they went out and they bought all of these courses and, info products or whatever to actually figure out what they don't know. And it starts there. And then you get sucked in because you buy the one thing, and now you're in some kind of Ginsu knife funnel. And they don't actually solve the problem in the thing that they said they were going to solve the problem, and they actually cause more problems. So they could potentially then sell you on solving that next thing. And then you get very like stuck and looped in. And I think it comes down to, we need better financial literacy for women. And this is something that's really important to me, why I went and became a Profit First certified consultant. So we can actually talk about numbers in a way that's not accountant-y, but is like the cash flow conversation you need to be having in your business in a very simple way.
And we're not being taught that as women.
Acumen. What was that?
We're not being taught that as women.
No.
Generally speaking, and I'll generalize, but we're not being taught that as women. We're not having that opportunity. There's still so much around you don't need to know that mentality, culture, everything. And we're not getting that education. I certainly didn't get it.
Well, everything's about revenue, and revenue is the least relevant metric, in my opinion.
I totally agree with you. That's the least important thing to look at.
My nostrils were flaring. I know.
Stop. Okay.